I have 6 o'clock. I have 6:02 now. I started talking at 6. And I wanted to tell you a terrible joke first. Terrible joke. Well, because today is April Fool's Day, and so I created a Haggadah that has all the usual good stuff, but also some fun stuff. So here's a terrible joke. It's about a Jewish guy. No, it's not. I'm not allowed to say that part. So there's a guy, and he's traveling, and he wants to stay at a hotel. So he stops at the hotel. Some people are going to be really mad at me for telling this joke, so pretend this didn't happen. It's April Fool's Day, right? So he stops at a hotel, and he said, "I would like, please, to rent a room." And they said, "You want to rent a room?" He said, "Yes, please, that's what I would like." And he said, "Well, can you sign in? What's your name?" And he said, "My name is Chaim Cohen." And he said, "Well, sir, I think you may be mistaken because we do not rent rooms to Jews at this establishment. You need to be a white male Christian person." And he says, "Well, I'm Catholic." And they said, did you say you're Catholic? He says, "Yeah, I'm Catholic." And he said, "Well, I thought because of your accent and the fact that your name is Chaim Cohen, that maybe you were Jewish." He said, "No, I'm Catholic." He said, "Well, the proprietor said, "Well, can I ask you some questions? Do you mind if I ask you questions to prove that you're Catholic?" He said, questions, ask me questions." So the man said, "Who is our Lord?" And Chaim Cohen said, Jesus Christ." And the guy said, "Well, okay, and who was his mother, if you're Catholic?" He says, "Well, everybody knows that's Mary. Mary is the mother." And he said, "Okay." He said, "And who's his father?" And so Chaim Cohen says, "Well, everybody knows his father is Joseph, but we really say that his father is God, our Father, God." The guy says, okay. Where was Jesus born?" He says, "Bethlehem." And he said, "Yeah, but where more specifically in Bethlehem?" He said, "Well, it was almost like a farm. It was with animals inside." And he said, "Well, why was he born in this manger?" And he said, "Because some jerk wouldn't rent a room to the Jewish parents." Okay, I told you you're going to be mad at me for that one. Isn't it fun that I could tell you a joke that you can't tell anyone, huh? And because there are kids around, I didn't use other words that I was going to use, some good Yiddish words. Which actually brings me to something. I do want to have a good time. I do want to have fun. It is April Fool's Day. It gave me a good excuse to have some fun. You have in your Haggadah some cool things in the back, fun things to do, and some markers to do it with. While you are thinking through your Seder, I would like you to consider the prompts on the back. So for example, what I want you to do is write your answers in 6 words each. So for example, can you write in 6 words what you like about being Jewish? And can you write in 6 words what you like about attending a Seder, etc.? So I want you to work on that. And each table is going to share their answers. And at the end, we will give a prize to the winner of the table. So that's one thing. There are other fun things to do, and if you're too grown up to do the fun things, that's okay with me. So we begin on page 2. A lot of this Haggadah so the do I have to do the clapping again? Does that help? So one of the things that's different about Passover this year, last year we talked about hostages. This year there's a war. I don't know if you saw what happened in Israel today, just as Passover was starting. There was a huge array of bombs that were attacking a big core of the center of Israel. And most people obviously already planned to try to have their seders in the shelters, in the bomb shelters. And a lot of damage has been done. It is beyond anything that any of us have ever experienced against Israel. When I was in Israel, every day there were bombs, but this is beyond. So part of what we're thinking about today is, what does it mean to be free? And when we talk about next year in Jerusalem, what does that mean to us? So some of what we're going to do is very serious, and think about that. And some of it is what we're going to talk about as freedom. And at the beginning of this Haggadah on page 2, there's a quote that I saw this year that has inspired me every time I feel like things are getting tough. It says, "I love being Jewish so much more than anyone could ever hate me for it." I love being Jewish so much more than anyone could ever hate me for it. And that's part of why we're here. I see the same people, and I see new people. So I read, and then I'll have you read parts of this too. This Haggadah has been used for many years at Bnei Zion. Each year, there are modifications to it. Sometimes there are corrections, but there are also things that apply to the specific year. Some people at our tables observe this holiday every year, and some are experiencing it for the first time. Is there anybody here it's their very first Seder? Anybody? It's your first Seder? So I don't know, when I was growing up, we always had someone who'd never been to a Seder before. And it's really a lot more fun when new people are asking questions. Because we get used to these things. It's part of why we come. We love the repetition of what we've always done, but we also like to make it new. The Passover experience is enjoyed by people of various faiths because we each relate to freedom as part of each of our stories. Especially at a time when we see a continuous rise in anti-Semitism, we're deeply grateful to everyone who provides love and support to their Jewish partners, families, and friends. We offer special thanks to those who are raising their sons and daughters with Jewish identity, and everyone who's living a Jewish life or supporting Jewish ways to ensure the survival of Judaism. We're extremely grateful for everyone, Jew and non-Jew, who are standing up to protect Jews and Jewish values. We get strength from the Passover experience to continue to strive for freedom. When we experience Passover, it reminds us of many things. Would you read these with me, please? We were slaves. We were freed. Plagues end. We move on. Freedom means being able to be together. When we were freed, we gained new responsibilities. Our history is our story. The story influences our choices now. When we share the story, we learn from each other. When we tell our story to our children, it can strengthen us and their future. Tonight, as we have done for centuries, we relive our story and share memories through the senses, tasting, smelling, touching, seeing, and hearing the memories of freedom. Last year, we prayed for freedom for hostages being held by Hamas. The hostages have been freed. This year, many of the people in Israel are celebrating the festival of freedom by needing to be in safe rooms and shelters. This year, we pray for a different kind of freedom. We do not know what will be tomorrow, but we remember that we've been through a lot, and we can continue to hope. We are grateful for another opportunity to be together and celebrate our Jewishness. We are grateful for everyone who helped to cook, set up, and coordinate our Seder. We are grateful to everyone who is attending the Seder, in person or online. You want to wave to the online people? Hello, everybody, wherever our camera is there. That's good. All right, so before we look at what the 15 parts of our Seder is, would you turn to page 23? Let's sing. Take us out of Egypt, free us from slavery. Bake us some matzah in a haste. Don't worry about flavor, give no thought to taste. Oh, it's rush, rush, rush to the Red Sea. If we don't cross, it's a shame, for it's 10 plagues down and you're out at the Pesach games. I didn't write these, but it's fun. We did it a few years ago. This is from a Seder called Jew Belong. Have you seen their stuff? I like the one on the top right too that says, there's no Seder like our Seder, like no Seder I know. Everything about it is halachic, nothing that the Torah won't allow. Listen how we read the whole Haggadah. It's all in Hebrew, 'cause we know how. There's no Seder like our Seder. We tell a tale that is swell. Moses took the people out into the heat. They baked the matzah while on their feet. Now, isn't that a story that just can't be beat? Let's go on with the show. Come on, that's more fun, right, than the Hebrew and stuff that we're about to have to do. So on page 3, we see that all of these things have to happen before we're finished with our obligations for the Seder. There's 14 plus 1 things we're going to do today. We begin on page 4, and I'm going to ask everybody to please rise for this one. Do you have wine in your Kiddush cup? You may want some wine in your Kiddush cup. I love that noise of the chair squeaking. I'm awake, I'm awake. So the blessing for candles is a lot like the blessing for the Shabbat candles or the Hanukkah candles. But at the end, we don't say Shel Shabbat, and we don't say Shel Yom Tov. We don't say Shel Hanukkah, we say Shel Yom Tov. So the first thing is candles, and then the second thing is wine. We ready for candles? Not yet? Okay, we don't need the wine yet, but you want to be ready. Thank you. All right, so on page 4 is the candle blessing, and there's jokes. The please rise for the blessings of the candles and the first cup of wine. When you see matzah, it's a thing you're supposed to do. There are 2 blessings we say for lighting the holiday candles. The joke was rise, because like matzah can't rise. Can you sing the Hebrew blessings with your eyes closed? I think we can. We're going to say, how many people remember all their families that were with them before when they say candle blessings? That's one of the moments when I especially remember mom and grandma and great-grandma. I love that. B'chibur shemoy, b'chibur shemoy, b'chibur shemoy. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel yom tov. It's a good day. The second one is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. So on page 5, whenever you see those 4 cups of wine, it means a time when we're going to get to do the 4 cups. But each of the 4 cups represents something different. So it tells us at the top of page 5, please read with me. We drink the first of 4 cups to recall God's promise of redemption. I am Adonai, and I will redeem you from the burdens of the Egyptians. Now we lift up our cup. We're going to sing the first line in Hebrew on page 5. First we'll say it in English so we know what we just said, and then we're going to jump to page 6 and do the rest in English. So first we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen, which means, Praised are you, our eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. And on the next page, if I can get there, here it is. We read the teeny letters at the top. Praised are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who has chosen us from among the peoples, exalting us by hallowing us with mitzvot. In your love, Adonai our God, you have given us feasts of gladness and seasons of joy. This festival of Pesach, season of our freedom, a sacred occasion, a remembrance of the exodus from Egypt. For you have chosen us from all the peoples and consecrated us to your service and given us the festivals, a time of gladness and joy. Praised are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Israel and the festivals, L'chaim, first of 4 cups. You may be seated. If you want to get ready to fill up for the next one, you can, but we don't drink again for a little bit. The next thing we do is, it says, according to ancient custom, we wash our hands, but no blessing is recited. Washing our hands is a way of showing that we hope to purify our hearts and not just our hands. It's also a way of feeling clean and ready to take part in the Seder. We, as you remember, have created a new tradition. And this is way before COVID, but instead of passing around a cup with water, we pass around the hand sanitizer. We plan to pass over many plates and foods to each other, but we do not want to be plagued with illness. Please clean your hands. Mine was on sale. That's a lot of alcohol right there, isn't it? It feels like alcohol. All right, we're zipping along. In the middle of page 6, we read together, we taste the greens of spring, which we dip into salt water, the remembrance of the tears shed by our ancestors enslaved in Egypt. And then there's a question, can you think of another symbolic reason for dipping at this point in the Seder? Everyone can take some greens, dip them in the salt water, but before you eat them, we have to say the blessing. Everybody has, there's a little cup, an invisible cup on your table. It looks very invisible. It's really easy to knock over. We spent our day knocking them over. And you dip the parsley into the salt water, and we say the blessing. In English first, we say together, praised are you, our eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, borei peri ha'adama nam nam. Ooh, that's so refreshing. Save some for after your meal, maybe. Remember, you have to lean to the left when you're eating. Lean to the left. That's what we're doing. Everybody lean to the left. Slaves could not relax while they ate. You remember? As we eat comfortably, we remember that we are free. Uh-oh, it says salad. There's no salad on your thing. That was a mistake. That was from many years ago. All right, so the next thing we do is we're going to be getting ready to break some matzah. In Egypt, we were poor and had to divide our portions. Now we remember to share our portions with those who are hungry or poor. Show the plate with the 3 matzahs. We don't have a plate with 3 matzahs. There's not enough room on the table for that many things, but there's a plate in the middle of your table under your number that has a lovely matzah cover that the kids made many years ago. And you uncover that. You pretend that you're finding the middle matzah. You break it in half, and half of it gets hidden for the afikomen. Don't hide it. We already have stuff that's hidden for the kids. It's going to be searched for after the meal. So, anybody want to volunteer to read for me on this page? Anybody want to volunteer to read? Reading? Who's a good reader? Who's my best voice? It's okay if you've never done it before. Start over here. Why do we hard part of? So why do we? Yes, we're on page 7. Tell us your name.
Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy. Is it on?
Jimmy.
Max, we on? Yes. Jimmy's going to read for us. Hey, Jimmy, welcome. Keep it.
Why do we hide part of the matzah?
No, we're not eating it yet. Don't eat it. Don't eat it.
We put it aside for later. In a sense, it is like investing in our future. We hope that things we set aside as special, like our Judaism, are things that our children will want to pursue. Why do we break our matzah before we even get to tell about it? The rabbis teach Israel was redeemed from Egypt because of these merits. Our ancestors did not change their names. Our ancestors did not change their language. We set aside the broken portion of the matzah to remember that what seems lost may be recovered, and what seems broken may be a blessing.
I like that the medical table is the one who's talking about what was broken can get fixed. Woot woot. So we do not eat our matzah yet. We didn't say a blessing. Don't eat it yet. This is just breaking it. So it's now you're supposed to lift the plate with matzah, and we have more to read. Who's my next one? Who wants to read? You do. Yay. Say your name, priestess.
Sharon.
Sharon.
Hi, guys.
How cool is this, huh? Yes, this is matzah.
This is matzah, the bread of affliction, the bread of poverty and sorrow that our ancestors ate when they were slaves in the land of Egypt.
Sorry.
Matzah is special bread made without leaven or yeast, so it cannot rise. We eat matzah because it reminds us that we had to escape from Egypt so quickly that there was no time for bread to rise. It also reminds us of the poor food we ate when we were slaves.
Let anyone who is hungry come and eat. Let anyone who is a stranger, anyone in need or want, share with us the hope of Passover. For we know how it feels to be a stranger in a strange land. Now we feel as if we are still like slaves. Next year we hope to be truly free. Somebody asked me a good question, and maybe somebody here knows the answer. So what if we lived in Egypt now, in a modern world? Would we escape from Egypt every year? Yeah, every year, right? We would do this. All right, so put that matzah down now. Pour the second cup of wine, but we're not drinking it until later. I'm trying to keep this efficient, right? Anybody here know the 4 questions in Hebrew? Anybody? Anybody want to help me with 4 questions in Hebrew? I have no volunteers. I know my kids know them. The kids know it because we've been practicing it and practicing. I know the older kids know it because they had to practice and practice. Nobody's brave enough. Would everybody please do it with me? You want to do them in English first? Because in English, we find out the truth. Ever since we were little, we were told that they were called in my house, we called them the 4 kashas, which had nothing to do with fear. It meant 4 questions. And the 4 kashas were chanted, and they called it the 4 questions. But my kids immediately recognized there's 1 question and 4 answers. So we say in English, why is this night different from all other nights? On all other nights, we can eat chametz and matzah. Tonight, why can we only eat matzah? Oh, we turned it into a question for you. On all other nights, we can eat any vegetables. Tonight, why do we have to eat bitter herbs? On all other nights, we don't dip herbs even once. Tonight, why do we dip twice? On all other nights, we either sit up straight or lean. Tonight, why do we have to lean? Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halelot cha-cha-cha mikol halelot cha-cha-cha shebachol halelot anu ochlin chametz umatzah cha-cha-cha chametz umatzah cha-cha-cha halayla hazeh kulo matzah halayla hazeh kulo matzah shebachol halelot anu ochlin she'ar yirakot, any kind of vegetable, she'ar yirakot halayla hazeh maror tonight. Halayla hazeh maror shebachol halelot ein am echad הלילה הזה שתף עמים. הלילה הזה שתף עמים. Last question. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבין ובין מסובין. בין יושבין ובין מסובין. הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין. הלילה הזה כולנו מסובין. And part of the answer includes a kind of a question. Guess who? I know. You get to read what's on top here. Ma-
What are the specific guidelines and rules about Passover? What is it that we are supposed to learn from this holiday?
And we answer, we try to teach this child everything we know. You want to pass it to somebody else at your table to read?
I'd love to.
That's what I was hoping to. Nice.
The wicked child doesn't seem to care about Passover and asks, why are you doing these weird things? What do I care about Passover?
If someone tries to alienate themselves from what others are doing, it's sometimes difficult to include them. We need to try to find a way to let this child see that it's about all of us. It doesn't usually help to answer, well, with that attitude, you wouldn't have been freed. Yeah, that's our inclination though, isn't it? Next one.
The simple or innocent child is full of wonder and asks, what is going on? Why is everything so different? Why is everyone doing these strange things?
We try to use the child's imagination by saying, I do this because it reminds me when I left Egypt. Try to imagine when you left Egypt with me.
The child who doesn't know how to ask questions is too young or shy or unable to ask anything.
We help them experience our story and the Seder. We use all of our senses during the Seder to help the child realize what a wonderful thing it was to celebrate how God freed us from slavery and for us to celebrate together. We find a wonderful way to tell them the story, even if they can't ask about it. So think about which child are you? Which child are you? Well, answers to questions sometimes require background information. We begin to answer our questions by explaining our background information. Here is a brief history of how we got to be slaves and how we got to be free. We're on page 10. We made this really short. Usually in a Haggadah it lasts a really long time, but I don't know if anybody thinks they're a really fast reader. All right, we got this. Ready? We're going to tell the story. We're going to tell it quickly. A long time ago, the people prayed to idols. Abraham chose to believe in God. God entered into covenant with Abraham and his wife Sarah. God promised them that they would be the beginning of a great people. They had a son named Isaac who married Rebekah and followed in the ways of his parents. Their sons were Esau and Jacob. Jacob followed in the ways of the parents and the grandparents. He married Leah and Rachel and had many children. One of his sons was Joseph. Joseph's brothers were jealous of him and sold him. Joseph was taken to Egypt where he had difficult times, but eventually became the viceroy to the Pharaoh in Egypt. He helped to make Egypt a powerful country, especially at a time when there was no food anywhere else. His brother came to Egypt looking for food and found that their long-lost brother Joseph, his father Jacob, and all of Jacob's family came to Egypt to live. They lived happily for many generations. Then a Pharaoh took power who didn't remember Joseph and the important things Joseph did for Egypt. The Pharaoh made all of Jacob's family work for him as slaves. We worked terribly hard as slaves for more than 400 years. Then God heard our cries for freedom and finally brought us out of the land of Egypt and out of slavery. Cover up your matzah. Lift the cup of wine. We're still not drinking it. So I'm challenging you. Next year, I want somebody to read it faster than me. Okay? I know some of you absolutely can. I know who they are. I know who you are. So just do it. All right. So cover your matzah, lift up the cup, and we're going to sing this song that says, God kept the promise that was made to Abraham and kept the promise to all Jews. In every generation, there are people who want to destroy us, but God saves us each time. Vehi she'amda lavotenu velanu והיא שעמדה, והיא שעמדה, אבותינו ולנו. All right, put down the cup. Uncover the matzot. And we need, who's got the deepest voice in this place? Who thinks you have a really deep voice? Come on, Curtis, back to Curtis. You got one. All right, ready? People think you have the deepest voice. Anybody think they have a deeper voice? Anybody else have a deep voice? All right, good. We're going to do it. Can we call this a deep off? Ready? Get ready. So you know what part you especially have to do deep. Ready? When Israel was in Egypt land.
Let my people go.
Nice. Oppressed so hard they could not stand.
Let my people go.
Nice. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh.
Let my people go.
Oh, the whole ground is rumbling. Did you feel that? That was awesome. All right, hold on to that. We may need that table to do stuff. All right, these are the 10 plagues that God sent to Egypt to convince the Pharaoh to let the children of Israel go. So we think about the plagues a lot, especially when we're getting there in the Torah portion and when we relive this experience. And we think about how horrible it was that in order to show the right way, sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes it feels like we are in, perfect, thank you. Sometimes it feels like there have been plagues that we've experienced, and we wonder why people have to get hurt or suffer in order to see what's the right thing to do. What we do as a tradition is, you know what, in my family we always took our pinky and we dipped it into the cup of wine, because wine is a symbol of joy, and dipping diminishes the joy. So we put our pinky in, dip it for each of the plagues. We're going to say the plagues in Hebrew and in English. And then the tradition in my family is we suck the plagues off of our fingers. So, which I'm told is kind of a disgusting thing to do, but I don't care. Ready? Hebrew, English, page 11. Pinkies, go. Dam, blood. Tzvardea, frogs. Kinim, lice. Arov, beasts. Dever, cattle disease. Shechin, boils. Barad, hail. Arbe, locusts. Choshech, darkness. Makat, bechorot, death of the firstborn. How many of you are firstborn, men or women? Yeah, it hits, doesn't it? You know, most Haggadot and most Seders, if you look up what's an entertaining way of celebrating Passover, they do fun things with the plagues. And I have some of those fun things. I've got like masks for everybody with the plagues, and I've got coloring this thing here for the teens to do for plagues. It's kind of terrible what we do about plagues, but it's okay. See, I picked cute ones. And we read together, God's mighty wonders and awesome powers freed us from the land of Egypt and then saved us from the Sea of Reeds and the Pharaoh's armies once again. When we were safely across the sea, we were so overjoyed we burst into song. I forgot my tambourine. Can you help me out here? And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as they sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. That's your part. That's the chorus. Try it again. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. If you know it, sing with me. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. Back to the chorus. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. We're on page 12 already. The word, I say this all the time. If I were speaking in English and I said, die, that would not feel very good, would it? Because in English, it's not a nice thing. In Hebrew, it means enough, die. Like cut it out, stop, die. In Italian, it would mean keep going. It got confusing when I saw everybody saying, die, die, but they meant keep going, keep going. In Hebrew, as you know, we have this awesome song that says it would have been enough for us. If we had just been freed, we would have been thankful. We would have been very grateful to just be free, but that's not all that happened. And it keeps going on. And we only sing about 3 things, but obviously, I challenge you to share with the other people during the dinner, share some Dayenu moments that you have, that would have been enough for you if you had had that. And then yet, you got more. So we sing this. Ilu hotzi hotzianu mi Mitzrayim hotzianu mi Mitzrayim Dayenu 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 Dayenu, 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 Shabbat. Ilu natan lanu et ha-Shabbat, natan lanu et ha-Shabbat. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Dayenu, 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 Torah. Ilu natan lanu et ha-Torah, natan lanu et ha-Torah. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. We look at our Seder plate. Over the years, communities around the world have been adding their own symbolic foods to the Seder plate to help keep modern day struggles in mind, even as they commemorate our ancient one. Here are some of the most popular things. I don't know if you've put anything extra on your Seder plate. We sometimes do here. An orange to show inclusion of LGBTQ Jews. There was that joke, about having women rabbis would be as appropriate as putting, it started off saying bread on your Seder table, and eventually they turned it into an orange on your Seder table. And women can be, but now it also talks about inclusion of LGBTQ Jews. Fair trade chocolate on your Seder plate. Try dipping that in your salt water. You demand fair labor conditions in developing countries. One that a lot of people are using this year, again, is cashews for support for the troops. That's not just in America, but troops, American troops, Israeli troops. Olives is yearning for peace between Israelis and Palestinians. Bananas, we lost what the bottom was for standing with. Pine cones, calling out for criminal justice reform. A mirror, accepting yourself as who you are and accepting others as who they are. And of course, the question mark, what else should we put this year? Can you think of something else that you would put as a symbol? So I was told, so this year, some people are putting flowers to represent the hope for peace in Israel. And there was debate about what kind of flower it would be. But it's kind of important. And sometimes it also has to do with representing what is in your heart and whether or not you're bold enough to stick it on a Seder plate to share it with the people around you. Understanding the things on our Seder plate helps us take the journey from slavery to freedom each year. So point to these things, and I want to show you. You see this gorgeous plastic thing? That is a 3D printed shank bone that Max made for us. Every table has our very own 3D printed shank bone, because a shank bone is supposed to be a symbol of the Passover lamb that we used to sacrifice. And we don't sacrifice lambs. We don't even eat the lambs. And so why put a lamb bone, which is a symbol of a sacrifice? Why not put a not lamb bone on your table? So thank you, Max. I really appreciate that. You can ask us any questions about the bones. How long does it take to print your own bone, Max? How cool is this? It was also part of that sacrifice where we sacrificed the lamb to put the blood so that the angel of death would pass over the homes of the children of Israel. Point to the maror, your bitter herb. I have a giant one here. I think everybody in the whole room could see my maror. Anybody hungry? It reminds us of bitterness and the pain of slavery. It's hard to imagine for me that no matter how spicy that flavor is, no matter how much it hurts, that reminds us of how bad slavery was. So something we don't have on our plate is chazeret. Sometimes they put romaine lettuce, and it said that the reason is that initially exile was pleasant. We were happy to be there. Joseph was honored. We were part of Joseph's family, but soon it became overwhelming. Romaine starts off tasting mild, but eventually it leaves a bitter taste. Charoset, can you find a charoset? It looks a little bit like a mishmash salad. Reminds us of the bricks and mortar Jewish slaves had to make when they built cities for Pharaoh in Egypt. Point to your karpas. You know what it is. Does anybody still have any left on their plate? That's the green stuff, the parsley. It reminds us of spring and rebirth, refreshing. And then the beitzah. Here's another one. Some years we use a plastic beitzah. Maybe next year that's what we'll 3D print. We're getting there. It's a roasted hard-boiled egg. It's a symbol of life and renewal. It also reminds us of offerings our ancestors made long ago when they prayed in the temple in Jerusalem to give thanks for their fertile fields and flocks every springtime. All right, so Sandy has the microphone. Sandy wants to read all of those names. He remembers when he was young having to figure out, we're on page 13, at the bottom of page 13, all of those rabbi names. Go for it.
Oh, geez. In many Haggadot, we read a story about 5 rabbis: Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yehoshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Tarfon.
Nailed it.
They had... Did I nail it?
Nailed it. I said nailed it. That was good.
They had a Seder that lasted until the morning, and their students had to tell them it was time for the morning prayers. Those 5 Talmudic sages aren't just random wise men. They are the wisest rabbis in the period directly following the destruction of the temple in 70 CE. This nocturnal meeting we read about then wasn't just a leisurely Seder, or about rabbis who were so religious that they don't know when to end their Seder. It might well have been a discussion on how to continue and sustain Judaism now that it is beating heart. The temple in Jerusalem was no more. If nothing else, we should learn from these men that even in the shadow of a great tragedy, faith and friendship always find the way to move forward.
That was a really powerful time. Thank you. I knew you got that, Sandy. Does it like PTSD from childhood Seders? It always does for me. But they had to reinvent Judaism. Up until then, for 2,000 years, we had always, the only way to pray was to bring our animals and sacrifice them to God. And there was no place to sacrifice it, and we had to reinvent. And we reinvented saying words that were our prayers and doing kindnesses for other people. But if you were to reinvent Judaism today, I thought we were going to do a reboot after COVID. What would we change? How would we make it so that it's accessible? Can you name 5 Jews or 5 rabbis that you've known who've influenced your Jewish journey? Get ready, more wine. Lift up your wine cup. I see 4 cups. That means we're getting ready to drink again. Who's counting? In every generation, each of us must see ourselves as if we ourselves came out of Egypt, as it is written. And you shall tell your child on that day, saying, this is what God did for me when I came out of Egypt. Read with me, please. The Holy One, who is praised, did not redeem only our ancestors, but delivered us as well. As it is said, God redeemed us from that place in order to bring us out and give us the land that God had promised to our ancestors. We continue together. We drink the second cup of wine to recall God's promise of liberation. I will deliver you from their bondage. In English, praised are you, our eternal God, ruler of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen l'chaim. You have to chug the whole thing? Why not? All right, now we have another washing. This time we're supposed to say a blessing. It reminds us how important it is to make a fresh start, how to do holy things. We say the blessing, and I've got the water here. This is not, again, about having clean hands. Hopefully everybody washed their hands before you sat at the table, and then we sanitized our hands again. But this is kind of a spiritual cleansing. The blessing is, praised are you, eternal our God, who makes us holy by giving us commandments and commanded us about washing hands. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Now, pass out pieces from the top and middle matzah and wait for both of the next blessings before you get to eat matzah. So it may surprise you that the blessing you say for eating matzah, which is very specifically not bread, is the blessing that we say for eating bread, because this specifically is our bread for this week. So we have two blessings we say. The first one is the bread blessing, and the second one is the one that's the matzah specific blessing. For the rest of the week, we don't have to say the matzah blessing. We could just say the bread blessing when you eat. But we say, Hamotzi lechem in haaretz. We give thanks to God for a very poor example of bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. The next one says, praised are you, our eternal God, who made us holy with your commandments and commanded us about eating matzah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. Take some matzah and eat. Finally. While you're chewing, put a little bit of maror on your matzah. That's the maror. You want that one? You want this one? Either one. What? Oh yeah, that's okay. Ready? Everybody have a little bit of maror on your matzah? This is like a Cajun palate cleansing, right? At the top of page 16, we read together, we remember how bitter slavery was by fulfilling the commandment of eating the bitter herb. Say the blessing, please. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al achilat maror. Praised are you, our eternal God, who made us holy with your commandments, commanded us about eating maror. Have fun. Yeah. Now we make a korach sandwich. We take some maror and we take some charoset and put it together in a sandwich. And then you eat your dinner. So when dinner is finished, the kids are going to look for some stuff. I have some plagues hidden around the room. I have an afikomen. If you finish eating, please come to me if you're a child, and I will tell you what to do next. Any grown-up who doesn't want to run around the room can look at for Waldo in the middle of the book. B'te'avon, everybody. If you're watching online, there's going to be no noise during the meal, and we'll come back again after the meal. So enjoy your meal now, too. It's 8 o'clock, and I thought we were going to be done at 8, so let's get out of here fast. Let's finish the last things we have to do. Did you see all the fun stuff in your Haggadah? We have a few things to do. Did anybody find the matzah with Waldo? So the kids found afikomen and plagues. I would love to remind you that we're almost finished and that I do have prizes for every table. You still have to pick a winner from every table. If you have more than 8 people at a table, I think you can pick 2. On page 18, we found the afikomen, and the kids found all 10 plagues. They were hiding everywhere. And then it says the blessing after the meal. When we say blessings, we're developing the art of appreciation and gratitude, thereby deepening our relationship with God. So normally, Birkat HaMazon, the blessing after the meal, lasts for many, many pages. But we have one that lasts for like 2 sentences, or the same one in Hebrew and in English. All living things need food. Thank you, God, source of food for all. Baruch atah Adonai, hazan et hakol. I want to tell you something cool about blessings. Remember, one of your challenges is to bless the person sitting next to you and see if you could do it in 6 words. Hey, I think a couple years ago I asked you to write haikus. 6 words might be easier than haikus, I think. But when the Sofer came and we wrote in the Torah scroll, and many of you had a chance to write in the Torah scroll, he said something about the word mitzvah, about commandment. He said, and I don't remember ever hearing this before he came and talked about it. Now I see it in lots of places. But mitzvah, the rabbi is supposed to teach you, means commandment. We are obligated to eat matzah for the 7 days of Passover. We are obligated to not have chametz or eat chametz during the 7 days of Passover. It is a mitzvah, it is an obligation and a commandment. But he said that the word mitzvah, the root, is actually also from a word that has to do with connection. It's an opportunity for connecting. So I like to think of it that way. Every time we say that we're fulfilling one of the commandments, that it's an opportunity for connecting with God. And to me, it's not necessarily God. I don't know what kind of relationship you have with God, but whatever it is, it's a relationship with finding something meaningful in your life. So if we're supposed to eat matzah for 7 days, and we eat matzah for 7 days, can we find meaning in that act? Anyway, we go on to another glass of wine. Do we find meaning in drinking so much wine at a Seder? So we see lots of meanings. We see dots in front of our eyes and all kinds of stuff. So we are on page 18 in the middle of the page, and we read together, after our redemption, the 3rd cup of wine. Everybody have some wine in your cups? Okay, it says, we drink together. We drink the 3rd cup of wine to recall God's promise of freedom. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm. I didn't bring the outstretched arms this year. There were many years that we did the outstretched arm thing where the kids had the sticky arms. I love that. So we raised the 3rd cup of wine, and I think you know what this means. This is thanking God for creating the fruit of the vine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim. So we have another beautiful wine cup here. This isn't because I'm really thirsty. This one is for Elijah, our honored guest, Eliyahu. And it says, long ago, Elijah protected the Jews from an evil king and queen. I guess long ago we needed protection too. It says that he healed the sick and helped the weak. When his days on earth were over, the legend says that Elijah, rode up into the sky on a chariot of fire. After 3 cups of wine, can anybody see that chariot? Just saying, we believe anything they say after 3 cups of wine. We had, I don't know how many you had. I'm not counting anymore. Legends also tell us that this mysterious man returns to earth to help the helpless, to answer the unanswerable, and to remind us that someday, when the Mashiach, when Messiah comes, everyone will be free. There'll be no more suffering. There'll be no more hunger. There'll be no more poverty, no more war. We feel like it's our obligation to do what we can to make that day happen. But we look forward to possibly Elijah coming and saying, hey, we're here. It's time. So it reminds us that all over the world, in every Jewish home, children open the door on Passover to invite Elijah to enter. Perhaps tonight he will honor us and enter our home. Our hope makes a bridge between heaven and earth. So I need a little bit of wine. I got to put it into Elijah's cup. We're going to open the door and see if he wants to drink that wine. Oh yeah, it's not very winey, so it's grape juice. Maybe he's had enough wine and he'll come to our place because we did this. All right, I need the kids to come and help me open the door. Kids, anybody under age 13, come on and help me. We're going to open this door so people can see. Open this door. And we're going to say, we read together, behold, I will send. Can we open this door? Would you watch over them when they open the door? This door, go. Kids, open the door. And we read together, behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet. Go hold the doors open. Not the officers, the kids. Officers are watching over you. Kids are holding doors open. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet, and he will turn the hearts of the parents to the children, and the hearts of the children to the parents, before the coming of the great and awesome day of the eternal. Get ready to close the door, and we're going to sing as we close. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera v'yamenu, Yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David. At the bottom of the page, let's read this together. It is said that in each generation, Elijah the prophet returns disguised as a poor stranger. He knows by the way people treat him whether the world is ready for the Messiah. Do you think we're ready yet? I'm so ready. There is, exactly, they're ready or not. There is a tradition that Miriam the prophetess helped to sustain the spirits of the children of Israel in Egypt. And you know what? Women only. Read this paragraph with me at the top of page 20. There is a tradition that Miriam the prophetess helped to sustain the spirits of the children of Israel in Egypt and during the long journey through the desert to the promised land. Miriam's well followed the children of Israel through the wilderness and provided water for drinking. Let us remember her at our Seder. We have a glass of, it looks like I've got ice water here. We have a glass of water here to symbolize Miriam's sustaining waters. Because sometimes the guys sing really deep, and sometimes the women are here with tamarines and water. Oh, guess what? Are you ready with a fourth cup? Who's got fourth cup? We read together. We drink the fourth cup of wine as we conclude our Seder with hope and with joy. We know we are partners with God to bring freedom to all who are captive and bring peace to our world. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chayim. Okay, we have to do the very last part. We read that paragraph. It says, let's do this together. This Seder is complete and has been prepared according to the guidelines of our traditions. We hope that, even if it was not perfect, the insights we have gained inspire us to continue to pursue freedom and enhance our connection to our people, traditions, and faith. L'shana haba'a b'Yerushalayim. Next year in Jerusalem. Anybody want to sing? What favorite melody do you have for this one? Chad Gadya, My father bought for two zuzim chad gadya, chad gadya. Then came the cat that ate the goat. My father bought for two zuzim chad gadya, chad gadya. Then came the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim chad gadya, chad gadya. What happened to the dog? And came the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim chad gadya. That's not fair. You're still looking at the words. Do it without looking at the words and see if you can remember. Then came the fire that burnt the stick that bit the dog, the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for two zuzim chad gadya. What happened to the fire? Then came the water that quenched the fire that beat the cat the bit was. That's good. I'm good. I don't want to get all the way to the angel of death. You could do it on the way home, right? Right? Sing it on the way home, right? We do this in first. We do. You want an ox? No. Then you want an ox? Who knows one? One is. Yeah, well, you could do that. You could do the words that are written here. You can make up your own thing. But we're on page 22. We'll do it first in Hebrew. We'll do a few of them. Ready? Echad mi yodea, Echad ani yodea, Echad Eloheinu, 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 Shebashamayim uva'aretz. Shnayim mi yodea, Shnayim ani yodea, Shnei luchot habrit, Echad Eloheinu, 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 Shebashamayim uva'aretz. All right, English. Who knows one? One is God in heaven and on earth. Who knows two? Two are the tablets of the covenant. One is God in heaven and on earth. Who knows three? Three is the number of the patriarch. Two are the tablets of the covenant. One is God in heaven and on earth. Who knows four? Four is the number of the matriarchs. Three is the number of the patriarchs. Two are the tablets of the covenant. One is God in heaven and on earth. We're going to 5. Who knows? We did matriarchs, right? 5. I know 5. 5 books there are in the Torah. 4 is the number of the matriarchs. 3 is the number of the patriarchs. 2 are the tablets of the covenant. 1 is God in heaven and earth. We don't have to do the ones on 23. Cleaning and cooking in so many dishes. Out with the chametz, no pasta, no knishes. Fish that's gefilte, horseradish that stings. These are few of our Passover things. We can do that one. I could have eaten more, but it's afikomen time. That's as much as we can do. The stuff at the end of this, you're going to have to do on your own. All right, so figure out who won for each of your tables, and I have a prize.
All right, guys, what are your answers?
And I would love for the winner of each of those tables to come and get your prize from me. And thank you, everybody, for a wonderful Seder. Sit and hang out and enjoy. And did you see all the dad jokes in here? What do you call someone who derives pleasure from the bread of affliction? A matzahist. It's on page 27. What do you call steaks ordered by 10 Jews? Filet mignon. If a doctor carries a black bag and a plumber carries a toolbox, what does the mohel carry? A brisket. So thank you for everybody who ate the brisket. I will tell Marla that you loved it. And I'll see you next year in Jerusalem. Thank you.
boils down. Lava is turning to this guy on birthday. On the birthday place that first of all, I was going to grow like now you know, and you'll never forget. That's my favorite part. Jimmy, you survived it. The second one. Up in here, always. So we brought like we have like 3 of these. I think it's our night. I'm so glad you came. You're so brave. Yeah. I would have been like, no, there's weird food, and no. I don't really know. I just asked Aris, like, he's like, you should go. But was Ari working on? Yeah, that's why I guess.
We're engaged, so like, I gotta convert within the next year. I some days really only start to evolve, but they're not.
And I feel like here, like the wife doesn't have to be Jewish, they're still
Yeah, you're what? The matriarch.
But because it's reform, they're like,
Oh, reform. Yeah.
so like, because our kids